Here are 5 simple tips that will help you achieve any goal you have. The first tip is to slow down. So to preface this piece of advice and give you a little bit of background about myself, I've run a 50-mile ultramarathon along with a few other marathons and some triathlons. So I have a few things to say about discipline and slowing down in general. This first piece of advice and the 4 that follow this one are the best things that I have learned from my experience and from studying philosophy. So to get straight to the point, slowing down and looking at the long term of what you're trying to achieve is huge. Oftentimes in the present, we can get caught up in the stress of things and we forget and we lose sight of the big picture of what we're trying to work towards. So whenever you're feeling stressed and you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself to get something done, pause, take a minute, and look long term. How long is this goal of yours going to take to achieve? Is it a goal that's going to take a month to achieve, 6 months, a year, 2 years, or even longer than that? Then calm yourself down in the present. A great example of this is running 6 miles. For some people this might be very daunting. For me this is also kind of daunting. But when you pick a goal like this and you allow yourself to slow down and pace yourself, the goal becomes achievable. It becomes a matter of when you will accomplish the goal, not if. Well, I have just run 6 miles and I just wanted to add a couple things on to what I was saying before. This run was really difficult and I thought 6 miles would be pretty easy, and I really wanted to quit about 2 or 3 miles in, but I told myself, how can I make a video on this if I don't even believe in the things that I'm preaching to you guys? So I went through and I ran the whole 6 miles and now I'm on the other side. But going back to what I'm saying, I do think it's important to slow down. That is probably the only way I could have finished today. A perfect example of this is the story of the tortoise and the hare. We've all heard it when we were kids, but it's the story of the hare that is outpacing himself. He gets gassed out and so he has to take a minute and breathe. Because on the other hand, you have the tortoise. He's going at his own pace. Sure, it might be slow, but he's thinking of the big picture. He's trying to cross the finish line. He's not comparing himself to how quickly other people are going. And this tip applies to so many different aspects of life. If you're in school, try to remind yourself that you're in it for the degree over 4 years or longer. Or even if you're learning an instrument or a language, don't get frustrated with yourself. Just keep putting in the work every single day. These things take time, and that is one thing that you cannot forget. Time is something that we have to put into everything that we want to succeed. And remember, with this lesson of slowing down, everyone has a different pace that works for them. Some people learn extremely quickly, and with certain topics they might even learn faster than others. And with other topics you might learn slower than other people. Myself, I actually learned things like math and all that kind of stuff very slow. The point is to find what works best for you. If you know you learn slow, don't get frustrated at yourself when it takes a long time to learn things. And if you learn quickly, use that to your advantage. Everyone has their own preferred pace for doing things. And that is exactly the next tip that I have for you. The next tip is to stay in your lane. Comparison is the thief of joy. Comparing yourself to others in general is never productive. You are not accomplishing anything by doing it. And most often, it'll just put us down. If you're trying to be the best version of yourself, be yourself. Don't compare yourself to other people. You know you have these differences, so why do you continue to compare yourself to other people? And especially don't try to copy what other people are doing. If you know how you work best, don't copy what other people are doing, because you know how you work. The reason behind this is if you're trying to copy what other people are doing, you're copying what worked for them. And what works for them may not be the same as what works for you. Just keep being yourself, keep putting in the work. You know where this will get you. So whatever goal you have for yourself, remember that this is a goal for yourself. This is not a goal for anyone else. So the only person you should be comparing yourself to is who you were before. So these last 2 pieces of advice that I've given you are probably the 2 biggest pieces of advice that I can give anyone. The next are when we get to the fun stuff. The next piece of advice is mind over body. Your mind will always be stronger than your body. Don't think of strength as a physical thing. Think of strength coming from the choices you make in your life. We make choices to leverage opportunity to put success in our favor. Success can be as easy as you want it to be. So don't make success a hard thing for you to attain. Make discipline easy to do. Control as many variables as you possibly can and put success in your favor, and you will succeed. And if we're talking about physical accomplishments, your body will always give out before your mind does. And I have anecdotal evidence for this. During the 50-mile ultramarathon that I was running, there was a point where I literally had to crawl. I'll put a picture up probably right there. But yeah, I had to crawl to keep going forward. I knew the only way I could finish is if I kept going forward. Why would I stop, you know? And eventually I was able to pick myself up and I did cross the finish line. It took me 11 hours and 15 minutes or something like that, but I was still able to do it. Again, think of the tortoise and the hare. Think long term of what you're trying to achieve. Remember that the body is commanded by the mind, and if you see a goal in your head, I promise you it is achievable. Although it is important to not overwork yourself. You want to find a balance between getting work in and being productive and giving yourself time to chill and process things. We all do need that time to just relax and take a breather. That is perfectly normal. And that being said, be kind to yourself. Sometimes you're the only person who can give yourself a pat on the back. Now, the next biggest piece of advice that I have to offer is consistency. As I mentioned earlier, time is necessary to achieve your goals. If things were easy to achieve, everybody would be doing things overnight. And that's just not possible with some things. And like I said just before, make being consistent the easiest part. We all probably struggle with this the most, and that is perfectly normal. The struggles of everyday life just sometimes are too much to handle, and we just can't get to things every single day. That is perfectly fine, but it's important to pick yourself up and keep going. Sometimes you might have to take a day off, or a couple days off, or even a week off, and sometimes even a month off of things. But that is okay, as long as you pick yourself up and you get back on the horse. Make it easy to be consistent, control the amount of distractions that are in your life. A good example of this is hanging out or going out with friends. In that situation, you have to ask yourself if it's worth sacrificing your goal to go out with friends or sacrificing a night out to achieve your goal. There is no right answer, that is just up to you to decide. If your goal is important to you, then it probably is worth a sacrifice. But if you want to have fun, there's nothing wrong with that either. And to those of you out there who have a stubborn personality, who hold on to things tightly, use this to your advantage. Once you have a goal in sight, do not let go of it, no matter what. But that being said, I do think there are times to experience life and just have fun sometimes. A good quote to remember this by is, "Life is not a problem to solve, but a reality to experience." I don't think we should be living every single second in discipline and straining ourselves over getting work done. I do think there are simple things to enjoy, like being outside in nature, for example. All right, and now we are on to the last piece of advice that I have to offer. And in my opinion, this is by far the biggest. It is to believe in yourself. I know this might sound kind of corny, but it is true. If you truly believe that a goal is achievable, it is. In fact, any of you watching this video, I do know that you can achieve your goals. All of us who dream and have goals and aspirations of things to do, that's a little glimmer of hope. And that little glimmer of hope is proof that there is a way. We just have to work pretty darn hard to achieve it. This is something that I want to drive home again. You wouldn't have hope if you didn't think it was possible. So sit on that for a minute and think about it. If there was something you wanted to achieve and you saw no possible way to achieve that, you wouldn't even invest the slightest bit of hope in it. But that little speck of hope proves that there is a way there. It will be difficult and it will require a lot of work to be put in, but it is possible. And I know that all of you watching can achieve your wildest dreams and ambitions. These 5 simple tips have helped me a lot on my life, and I hope that they serve you just as well as they've served me. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this. I'm trying to create a community of cooperation and support where we can all help each other achieve our wildest dreams and ambitions. If you stayed this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. I hope this video serves you well, and I will see you again in probably a week or two. Goodbye.